Right, the next race on the program is the BMW M Series Performance Parts Race. This is classes A, B and C. Nicholas Terps will be joining us once again for the commentary of this one. Almost clear skies over the track here today. At least there's a little bit of a breeze, unlike yesterday where we're absolutely sweltered here. Also great to catch up with a whole group of our legendary racers from Port Elizabeth that have made the trip up to Zwartkops for the 24th Passion for Speed. The likes of Barry Kapelis, Nick Davidson, Joel Steenekamp, Elwin Kretzmann, Ricky Skipper, all in the mix. Eddie Vestraat as well. The guests of Micro up here this weekend, VW Motorsport, and enjoying all of the action, I'm sure. Let's go down to chat to Bob Neal down in pit lane. Right, we're just battling with a sound issue with Bob Neal. There we go. Right, let's go to Bob again.
Okay, go. Robert, tell us about the racing today. What do you expect out there?
Yeah, first of all, yesterday very hot. I think we got the same condition today. The track was quite slippy, but we managed to get it on pole. Let's see how it goes. I've just got to keep Leon behind me. That's quite a mission.
Bob Neal, another of our international drivers here this weekend, racing in Class A. As he said, he's going to have his work cut out, keeping the guys behind him. Right, let's head on down to Leon Loepscher. Let's see what he's got to say down in pit lane.
Leon, tell us about what are your expectations for today?
Well, I had a lot of problems yesterday with the car. It was electronic. We've sorted it out, or we think it's sorted out last night. So if the car's right, I hope I can get into the top two at least. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, the guys have all been complaining about the heat. Still early. Things are going to get a lot hotter out there. Greg Maloney's just come in as well, and he says it's cooking out there. He's just giving him a chance to catch his breath in the seat next to me, and then waiting for Nicholas Terps to come up here, and he's going to jump into my seat. Give me a chance to go and try and sort out a couple of technical issues that we're having in the background. Alright, let's go chat to Reynard Miller down in the pit lane.
Ready.
Reynard, tell us about conditions out there.
Conditions out there, well, the day is starting up and it's getting hot. So we'll see. Hopefully this race is kind of okay still, but this afternoon one is going to be interesting with the heat. I mean, the heat plays a big factor, especially with the turbo cars and traction, brakes, everything just works that much harder. But excited for the first race for the season, and hopefully we can repeat the championship result of last year. So let's do it.
Just another of the competitors mentioning the heat out there. Greg,
The heat, yeah. Let's talk about that, Brent. Let me tell you something. It says on the app that I've got on my phone, which is usually pretty accurate for Zwartkops, 28 degrees Celsius, but I can tell you it's more like 33 out there already. We were up on the top banking. Claudio and I took a drive in the Tom Camper Volvo around to the far side of the track to catch up with what Leon Odendaal affectionately calls Die Manne op die Walle. And we caught a whole bunch of them, but I can tell you we also caught a couple of really, really nice dames op die draaien as well, which Claudio is now going to quickly edit, and we'll be putting that out in a few moments' time. But really awesome to see a great crowd out here, and I mean it is littered from the entire circuit circumference. We've been right down to the kart circuit to see if anybody's jumped into those higher karts yet, which they haven't yet, but I can tell you they're on their way there because there was a whole bunch of kids making their way down there as part of the kids' entertainment for today's outing. No problem at all. So it looks like we're going to have to go to do a piece to camera as well after this one. So might have to shoot down to the pre-race area there for a piece to camera as well for the next one. Next up, of course, we're heading into the International Sports Prototypes and Trans Am. So as soon as Nick and I are finished here, I'll meet you down in pre-race for a piece to camera. But rolling out now, here's Bob Neal. He's going to be a hard man to catch today. It's a very fast BMW that he is in. But then the third car rolling out as well. You can see there with the number 1 plate on, a couple of cars getting additional cooling put in there. And Nick's about to join in, and Bren's about to step out. But thanks, Bren, for holding the fort as well, while we went around the track to find some bits and pieces that we're going to entertain you with in between as well. But now I can chat to Nick Haps about what I was just talking to Brendan about. I've been running around like a mad thing in that Tom Camper Volvo on the far side of the track, and even with the aircon in that electric vehicle, I don't think anybody's going to hide from the sun today, but no matter where you are.
Another vicious, scorching day here in South Africa, and probably not the greatest time to be a race car. You're probably not going to get much mercy today if you're on this beautiful Zwartkops racetrack.
Big morning to everybody as well who's also joined us on our live stream. Sorry I didn't get to you guys earlier on, but I've left you in the very capable hands of my good friend Motormouth, and the man who's just joined me alongside once again. He was there for classes D, E and F. I also got to see there was a pretty epic battle in the Little Giants, and we also got to see a couple of fans on the back wall there of Formula V. I didn't think there'd be so many fans, but considering the fact that they're celebrating 60 years anniversary, they certainly have a lot of fans out there. But I can tell you right now, there's about 85% of that back wall that are BM fans. So your fans are all out there in full force.
No, that's for sure. And then, event like this, and you start to see some of the classic BMW shapes. We talked about the 745i modified in DEF, and then we're seeing some interesting shapes over here. I mean, Andreas's E36 in the SA Touring colours is a proper relic of automotive motorsport kind of history. So great to see these kind of things at an event like this, and exciting to see what's going to pan out in this race.
And to be honest with you, you picked up on the German saying he's in 4th place. He was actually on pole. He was the fastest car yesterday in a 2-litre milk bottle, as he likes to call it.
Clover is her name, and it's fantastic. That car's development has been a huge feat, and going from that roaring screaming 6-cylinder S54 now to the turbocharged GTC N20 motor. Really exciting, and I think everything to do with handling. How do you keep the weight off of the front axle and keep the car handling like an SA touring car should?
Not an easy thing to do, and also considering the fact, you unfortunately didn't get a chance to get out on track at all yourself yesterday, taking a bit of sabbatical, I believe, this year, but that's great for me, because it means you join me more often, and you can bring some insight in that I don't have when it comes to this particular class, and it's always good to have you here. But chatting to the German yesterday, he was saying, and a lot of drivers were saying, and it's kind of indicative of this event with the amount of cars that are out there, and of course the age group of those cars, it's very slippery. And that's not just from the heat and the new surface. That's from a lot of incidents that happened yesterday throughout the day at various parts of the track. So it's a bit of a tricky circuit to pilot.
Yeah, I think Corner 5 was being nicknamed the slip and slide fanfare yesterday. It was really looking slippery there. I think they had probably put down a number of tons of concrete, or that's what it looked like. So it was incredible. Unfortunately, that corner seemed to be claiming quite a few victims at that corner. And yeah, super slippery, not fantastic for lap times, but German put down a fantastic lap time in his car. Let's see what happens here on the start.
All right, so Bob and Nick will be front row. Bernier and Reinhard Miller behind them, and then of course it is the man in fourth place that assumes that position, because he now takes the top place in terms of his class as opposed to the pole position, being a Class B car there. We are underway and looks like we are racing, and remember, with the rolling starts at every single one of the rolling starts bar BMW, we would normally have double yellows into turn 1, but your class has decided no, our guys can race. They're pretty happy to get through turn 1 and try and keep it all neat and tidy down towards turn 2 Cashel corner.
And just as you say that,
well, let me just give that commentator's curse, shall I?
There we go. Looks like we almost had a touch. I'm not seeing too many incidents over there. Talking about classic cars, let's talk about that. Is that Salvi in that red car?
It is Salvi Gauteng. And I actually chatted to him yesterday. He was looking so forward to getting to grips with this car and the battle he was in, because he was in there amongst Oz, Fabio, Rob Gearing and Nicky Dix. So he was really in a nice little pack of cars.
Look, it's great he's got the car back up and running and back onto that track, but corner 1 incident there with Salvi Gauteng. It looks like we had some close maneuvers over there. I saw one of the newer M4s probably hitting the anchors really quickly into corner 1, trying to avoid a first lap incident.
Not an easy thing to do, and of course with this new kitty litter, we spoke about it a lot at the end of the season last year, they've kind of like gone very, very drastic in terms of that kitty litter to stop the cars from having big incidents and crashing into the walls and making it all the way to the barriers. The new kitty litter mix that's in those boxes basically slows the cars down and almost brings it to a stop. So Salvi was very lucky to get through there and actually still get out afterwards.
No, very, very lucky. But right now, anywhere around Zwartkops, if you get into the kitty litter, it's typically game over. You're going to wait for that truck to come pull you out. So unless you've got four-wheel drive or you've got really some luck on your side. Talk about some of the classic cars over here. Yeah, this passion for speed. Look at that Diebels Alt E30 over there. And not to steal his thunder, we've got Michel Singh back in the Winfield E30.
Correct.
With a beautiful S54 screaming motor. I'm sure the fans are going to go nuts for that tonight.
It could be a change up here for the lead, up the inside, possibly for turn 5, going past their probably arch rival in terms of brands as they go into turn 5, but nice move and sneaking through there and up into the top spot is Leon Loubser. It's difficult to sort of say Leon Loubser because you normally look at Leon Loubser and go, number 1, 66. I know it's his normal number, but he hasn't run that for a while.
A fantastic move from Leon. He was really struggling with lap times yesterday qualifying, so I think the fast team have got that car sorted. I know Bob was also struggling with his car. A little bit of trouble there for Nick Makris in that E46, slowing down the main pit straight over there. That's going to release Andreas. He had a lot of pressure coming from the Greek behind him. He's got ahead of Fabio, which was placed in Class A, so he's got free reign to go and chase down the Class A guys and see if he can put that qualifying lap time into racing.
So you're kind of saying that's the Italian versus the Greek versus the German. Somebody running wide there as well. By the looks of things, I saw a little bit of smoke. Oh, yeah, big smoke. That's a game over engine into turn 1, and a huge moment there for the 373, I should say.
Safety car coming out. That's the curve end vehicle. Is that
Andre van Vuren?
unfortunately. Looks like he's come together with somebody. I didn't see the first car. I'm not quite sure what the number was. I looked, we picked up on that white beam that was on the inside there with the smoke billowing. But as we went to it, of course, the number was then hidden away from that smoke coming out of the car. So two cars coming together in turn one. Yellow flags and possibly safety car. I think you're going to go to safety car according to what I heard. No, red flag. Yeah. I think they're in too dangerous position.
Absolutely. That's a big incident. I get the feeling that this was caused by we saw a next car slowing down. Him trying to kind of tap off some pace. I think that probably initiated this. But we'll see if we've got some better footage.
Yeah, Neck was slowing down, and I think the car that came into the race line in turn one realized he might have got in the way there, hit the brakes hard, and he had nowhere to go. So the 373, we were actually just up there now up at that grandstand, and they really are quite festive up there as well. So great to see everybody enjoying themselves here at Zwartkops, as always, kicking off the motorsport calendar. But that is not the way you want to kick off your season, bud. Climbing out of the car, looking at the front end of your BMW,
and look at the spillage on the track over there. So this is going to take some time, unfortunately. That's really sad. I mean, Andre was struggling for pace last year, wasn't featuring probably where he would like to. Out yesterday, practice and qualifying, his lap times were phenomenal. I think he was doing really, really well. He's probably extracting the best performance he had out of that vehicle, and this is sad to see.
Well, it also gives me a chance to sort of catch up with you and run through a few things that you might not have run through with Brent. And if we are repeating ourselves, I don't care, because this is quite cool because there are 2 separate classes that we run here. A, B, C all run together, D, E, and F, and of course the new class being introduced for this year, which you kind of touched on with Brendan, so I'm not going to go into that much. But the one thing that I really found exciting was that there were 66 entries, 9 new drivers.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the kind of story of the year is, and I think Passion for Speed is really where we find it. You know, first event of the year, we're going to see everybody who's been planning and then deciding, you know, am I going to enter, and making that commitment to say I'm going to be, you know, participating in BMW M Performance Parts Race Series for the next year, and it's such an accommodating race series for exactly that kind of driver. While there are really requirements and good feeder type events like our time trial series that will allow you to hone your skills. Once you want to start racing door to door, BMW M Performance Parts Race Series probably doesn't have an as attractive competing series.
No, definitely not. And arguably the biggest growing class in the country, because if you take into account your trip to Cape Town last year, started the ball rolling in the Cape Series.
Right.
And I believe, chatting to a couple of guys down in Cape Town, they're up to about 30 cars already.
It's incredible.
So that's a massive.
And we thought we had stolen all of our friends from the Western Cape and brought them up here for every exhibition type race. But like you said, 30 members, 30 entrants into the Cape Town series. It's almost going to become a battle now to see, you know, who grows faster, who's got the number one.
I want to throw something on the table. I want to say to Bernard and to your entire team to say, listen, when are we going to get a 100-car field at some track somewhere around the circuit and get permission from MSA to run that event just for what they call the something and giggles?
Well, this is the joke that goes around the BMW paddock. Is it Extreme Festival anymore? Is it the BMW Festival?
There's a couple of BMs out there. You can't say that, though.
So I'm sure BMW M Performance Parts are certainly getting some mileage out of this. I mean, the attraction to this and the interest and the kind of loyalty to the BMW brand. It's absolutely well and growing and thriving here in South Africa, and you could see that through the race cars. These are not cars, I mean, you see on our picture over there some of those Class A race cars. We see Oz Bagioni's car just in front of Leon Loubser. I mean, that is probably one of the neatest E46 race cars here in the country. It is absolutely stunning.
And a lot of these guys spend, every little last dime that they might have in terms of, savings here and there in the world we live in, to try and ensure that, you talk about Oz's car as an example, but there's a couple of other examples down that field. Looks like Lawrence has also gone down onto the pit lane and maybe onto the paddock to find out exactly what's happening. Lawrence, what's happening down there, buddy? Let's go down to you.
Not a great start for the first race. Actually, had a mechanical sound, and it seems like we actually blew a motor virtually close to turn 1. I managed, fortunately I didn't go into the wall, but looking at what's coming out of the engine at the bottom, there's going to definitely be extensive repairs, and I won't be in for the second race.
That's a big loss there. You didn't hear it in your ears there, but just confirming what I thought happened. His engine blew into turn 1. So it wasn't avoiding the slowing car there of Nick Macris. It was literally an engine blow that went, and you can see just from the amount of liquid that's coming through that turn into turn 1. It's the reason why Benny unfortunately lost drive and everything through there. And then, of course, the 373 of Andre van Vuuren had nowhere to go. He had to just try and take evasive action, and I think he might have clipped somebody else in the mix, because I don't think that car is actually damaged. I think there's another car that could potentially be involved.
And you were talking about the abrasiveness of the new kitty litter, Greg. I wonder if, just going in at that pace, Benny's car's dropped oil, and it's just eaten into that kitty litter, and you saw the damage. I mean, that's just what can happen if you enter that corner at 150 k's an hour. It's going to do some damage.
Yeah, it will. I've done that. I've ended up on the tyre barrier backwards in a Peugeot.
Got the T-shirt.
I know exactly what it means. And at that stage, it wasn't such great kitty litter, because those orange tyres on the left of the shot there, that's where I ended up on, where the marshal came and said, okay, well, you can get out the car now. I said, no, but it's front-wheel drive. I'm sure I can drive off the wall. And I tried to, and it just didn't work.
The retrieval process is something interesting, because you see the car there, says, oh, that'll roll quite easily. It's a completely different story when you try to get that thing moving out of that sand trap kitty litter, or if you're in the tire wall. what an exercise to pull a vehicle out of that. So good luck to the marshals. I hope they're going well now with laying a lot of cement, concrete onto the floor, dry up all that oil. But the guys are going to be tiptoeing on the restart right now. I mean, that's all into corner one. It's a fast corner, Greg.
And if I'm not mistaken, you guys go line astern for the restart, eh?
Right.
Line astern for the restart on a rolling start, so basically everybody stays behind each other going through turn one. So they'll probably all try and avoid that inside line. They might just go slightly right of the normal race line to stay out of the trouble. But you mentioned the marshals. We've got to give them another shout out. The medical team, I saw Hunley instantaneously on call there to check and see if Andre was okay. She was having a chat to him just to double check that he's lucid, he's talking correctly, nothing's gone wrong. I don't think there was any injuries to the driver with the amount of damage on that car, despite the amount of damage on that car, I should say. But needless to say, there comes some more of that concrete. I think they also use a little bit of Greg Parton's material here too, if I'm not mistaken, that dries it environmental,
right,
which is kind of mixed into it, which soaks it up a lot quicker, so it allows for the recovery of a situation like this to be a bit quicker.
Yeah, no, it's a great product now to speed this up. I mean, I think it gets better really every single year. If you go back 5-10 years, how long this took for that to dry, and also how much grip you had after that was laid onto the circuit. It's a lot better. Just recently when we experienced that at Kailami, it almost was as if there had been no oil on the circuit. So there's some really impressive products these days to look after incidents just like this. It doesn't discount the really sad eventuality, what happened to that E46. I mean, that's another, we were just talking about Oz's car. Benny's car is probably second in line for the last
well-prepared cars,
but last living naturally aspirated S54 in an E46. And I mean, these things you don't find growing on a tree. It's a lot of time and a lot of checkbook to get one of those motors to perform like they do in this race series.
For sure, and because it's a competitive car as well, as you said. But the competitive nature of the sport, and of course the unfortunate side of the sport is what we're seeing right now, where cars do have X amount of shelf life before something could potentially go wrong. And that, I'm going to have to agree with you in terms of what you're surmising there from the damage at the front. That's potentially just from going off to avoid the car that slowed in front of him. He had nowhere ready to go, and when he hit the kitty litter, I think that's what done the damage.
It's quite an interesting puzzle if you take a look here. I mean, Greg, if you see how far that cement and the sand's been laid up track over there, you know, Andre would have been doing significant speed before breaking point. The trouble with oil is it's just not as easy to see as you think. You don't see it like a big red thumb. It's unfortunately ice skating before you know it, and then you're now a passenger. You're an absolute passenger in this accident. And I wonder if he's hit the wall first before coming over.
Could potentially to
the kitty litter.
I don't see any damage on the inside wall where that car might have hit, but
right hand side looked like it had a bit of how the right hand side got in touch with the wall. I think this is how these puzzles pan out, but jeepers, hopefully we can find some.
If you look just beyond that, Marshall, there, sort of third on the orange from our right of our screen, you can actually see a little bit of a scrape on the wall there as well. So maybe that's where the touch happened when he was out of shape. But it's going to take a while for these guys to clear this up. You can see it's a full set of marshals. They've come from turn 2, from turn 3, and potentially from turn 8 as well to come and assist in the cleanup operations.
All hands on track.
Pretty much. That's it, yeah.
Talk about some interesting cars over here. If you take a look at that orange E46 on our screen over there, shout out to Alan, because he's got a what I would call like an evil scientist project with that E46 there. Mm-hmm. Now, not only is it a bespoke 2.8 litre, if I remember correctly, not a 3 litre turbocharged motor, which is pretty common and popular in this series, but Alan has done a ZF automatic 8 HP gearbox.
Wow.
In that car. So talk about parts from, the previous generation E36 is where the motor block and head comes from. Turbocharged now into the E46 body, and then putting a new gen. I think it's an 8 HP 70, and it's got all the tinkering, and I think it's called CAN TCU to get the thing to communicate with the ECU. So he's got shifts that are synced and all that. But that is an automatic, fully paddle shift race car in that orange E46.
I only watched it a couple of nights ago, flicking through the channels, and I picked up on the one Fast and Furious, which is, I think it's Fast and Furious 7, where he sort of takes the Dodge and says, I want that to be the love child of a tank, and then he drives it down the side of a mountain. Similar situation. He's looking for the love child of a derivative of cars to ensure that he can make it go fast and go in a straight line and get him through the corners as quickly as he can.
Yeah, we're no stranger to the idea of Frankenstein in this BMW M Performance Parts Race Series. So that's the enjoyment here. Is not only are you able to choose whether you like it, the old box shape E30, or whether you like your E90s and E46s, you can swap and change parts to your heart's delight. There really isn't a lot of regulation in our series, so you can go and dump that new S series motor from an S58 type car into your E30 and go for it. Go and pedal that car, and you probably won't find it anywhere else in the world. But this series accommodates and caters for that, and it makes it so exciting because you can go make what your dreams have.
And the only sort of halt on the freedom is that it has to be a BMW. You can't go and sort of chuck a 2J into it. It's got to be a BMW power plant of some nature.
Yeah, so exactly. BMW shell, chassis, BMW motor, supplementary parts around the car, not too sticky. Obviously, we're sponsored by Dunlop, so the tire options are specific. Only in Class A are you able to use full slick tires, so that's where they really need that extra grip. Everybody else is on what is called semi-slick race tires from Dunlop. A lot of guys running 18-inch tires. I think that's quite interesting. You go and find an F30, an E90 race car like that, and you find them with sport wheels, probably 19-inch or something.
That's right.
And that just doesn't work for racing. We typically need a square setup, no staggered setup over here, and you've got to get this thing to be able to point and follow the apex, because if you can't get that right, may as well go to the drag racing.
The drag racing,
and rather participate over there.
Listen, there are a couple of quick BMWs on the drag racing as well, I can tell you. Fast 5 last weekend, or last Tuesday night, we had a couple of very fast, an M2 that came from Auto Art. A beast of note. But I kind of threw your name and Bernard's name into the mix there, and I said to him, listen, just take that along and see if you can learn how to turn corners as well, because if you can, you'll be at the front end of the field pretty rapidly. So there are some really nice cars there. But also, speaking about, of course, nice cars, big season coming up for you guys as well. With this new class, it means that you've got the additional players, but also, you've got the start here at Passion for Speed, which is exactly where you want to be, and then you head off into Extreme Festivals and, of course, M-Fest at the end of the year again. So it's another action-packed year, and then you've got your own little, you mentioned them earlier on, your gymkhanas, your time trials, your away events that the club does. So exciting times.
And I think that's going to grow. This over here is not the only thing that the BMW Car Club has to offer. We've got Philip heading up some very exciting rules in specifically BMW Time Trial Series, and I'm really excited to see how that develops this year. It's such a great opportunity to take, and in that particular series, no limit. You can go bring your Porsche, your Mercedes, your Subaru. Come to our time trial events. There's no limitation there in terms of brand.
Toyota Camry.
And
Toyota Camry.
There we go. Got to have a Camry there, and it's got to be in a nice blue color.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise,
mine's silver Dream Racer.
And please, no leather seats.
And listen, by the way, I know you spoke about Des Bloom. He did the Dakar yellow car on that on the old taxi. He actually did the respray of my Camry. He took all the dents out, took all the nooks and crannies, redid it, and did a full respray of it as well. So there is kind of a relationship there. So maybe I can get in with that Camry with that relationship.
There we go. Time trials are for you, Greg. So that's exactly where we want to be, attracting people and understanding. This is where you would want to start. And once you hone your skills there at the various tracks, and we've got a lot of events at Red Star Raceway, which is quite a nice outing.
Yeah, it is a good outing. But that's an exciting event coming up real soon. And of course, there are some real exciting events throughout the season. As I said, the 1st of March we're back here, and another massive thing. I did just take a big sip, and there was a reason for it, which I forgot to even bring in from the link. I was trying to bring a link in there, but Extreme Festival has signed a deal up now with Coca-Cola as an official partner to the Extreme Festival, which I don't think you knew about.
No.
But it's exciting times. You're bringing a massive brand like Coca-Cola back into motorsport. somebody's done something right. So hats off to Tanya and her team for what they've done there.
We're talking about Coca-Cola coming on board. We're talking about upgrades to Kailami. Sometimes make me think of like the late 80s, 90s,
Exactly,
and
bud.
like Group N racing at
That's the way.
around
Stanek
place.
and Westbank back in it again.
It's all nostalgic about the real heydays of automotive racing here in South Africa. But I mean, these are good omens. Some really exciting stuff happening. We've got the start of 2025 with, like you mentioned, a massive field here for the BMW M Performance Parts Race Series. And let's see what we can do to keep on building on that and keep enjoying this really fantastic sport.
Just a heads up to anybody that might be watching on our live stream as well, just to give you a little bit of insight. If you are around the Gauteng area and you're looking for something to do, you've still got plenty of time to get here. And there is not only the race action that we're seeing on track, unfortunately, with a little bit of a halt in proceedings right now, but there is a huge amount happening around the circuit as well. We've got all our kids' entertainment, which is always provided here, the pedal carts and balloon artists, and of course face painting and some other bits and pieces for the kids to do. But we've got the kart zone open. We just went down there a couple of minutes ago. It was packed with people driving around in golf carts. And if you're here, we do have a couple of people that might get an opportunity to drive in an arch rival brand, AMG Driving Academy. Their driving experience are giving away, I think it's 90 hot laps here today. So it's worthwhile taking a little drive out to Zwartkops if you are watching us at home and thinking, hey, maybe we should go across and see what's happening there live.
100%. Look at all the vendors here, today. You walk through here, and it's just something special. It's really something to come here for a weekend, and that's what you'll find. It's not just your petrol heads here. The whole family's here. There's something for everybody to enjoy. Like you mentioned, we've got children's activities and entertainment, and you've got various vendors selling everything from craft gins and beers, and people selling interesting things. What is happening with that E46, Greg?
Yeah, just picking up on Nick there, coming through and around the track. And as soon as he came to the side, he pulled off the track and then popped the bonnet. So whatever they might have adjusted or you thought might have been fixed, I don't know if it's quite right yet, because they're now having to pop that bonnet open again and have another little look inside. And Nick doesn't look too happy. You can see him looking over his shoulder, sort of looking for a bit of assistance if he can get it. So maybe whatever they attempted to fix in pit lane hasn't quite worked out.
Now, that's the nature of a race weekend. As much as there's a huge amount of effort in developing and getting everything squeaky clean, every nut and bolt checked, everything's ready to go, there's nothing like the stress test of a race weekend. You start with your practice and specifically passion for speed. It's the Thursday, Friday and Saturday, so it's a pretty long race weekend. And everything from Thursday just adds a little more stress to the car, something that could go wrong. And inevitably, at race day, probably in your first race, it might.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's kind of what happened with a certain black car that I know about that probably was stripped down to within an inch of its life and is now being rebuilt from the floor up. And the Victron car is the only one that got in time to race for the opening round. But speaking of other rounds of racing that are happening here at Zwartkops, remember we've got Cars in the Park that happens on the 3rd of August. We've got the 6th and 7th of September with our 4x4 outdoor show coming back to Zwartkops as they did last year. And then another big one, which of course I know a couple of your guys showed interest in, and they weren't quite sort of putting their money where their mouths were. But after the running of Top of the Hill last year, I think a huge amount of your guys particularly have shown some interest, and maybe there needs to be a BMW class thrown in there, because Top of the Hill last year was such a success. They're going to do it again this year, but they've moved it to the end of the calendar year as well. So all racing is done and dusted, which means you don't have to worry about, if I break my car at Top of the Hill, I can't race it the following weekend or 2 weeks' time at wherever we were going to go to. Everything's done.
But Greg, racers love to have excuses, and now you've eliminated the excuses.
That excuse is gone now, but because
It's
the other
really
big factor you need to take into account is, I heard yesterday, I was in a conversation with Mike Rowe from Volkswagen Motorsport, who of course also got a big interest here in Zwartkops, and he was saying that in terms of the entire year's budget, in terms of media spend and value for money, and of course you get your ARs and your AMs and your CAs and all those important little figures that come to a big brand like Volkswagen to say, okay, we're going to stay racing or we're not. The biggest event they had last year was not Polo Cup or any of the other interests that they had. The biggest event and the biggest media coverage they had came out of Top of the Hill.
I think it's exciting. Everybody looks forward to the Neisner Hill climb, and that's been an absolute classic over the years. So to bring something up here to Gauteng and really up the ante. I mean, talk about climbing a hill, but now do it at altitude. I mean, This is really doing something. Now, sure, we don't have the proper hill climb in terms of ascent, but we're starting at 1,500 meters above altitude.
Have you ridden this circuit on a bicycle?
I'm too scared.
Do yourself a favor. Go the other way around. Not the way we race. Go the other way around and have a look and see when we talk about elevation. You'll be suitably surprised at how much elevation is actually at this circuit if you're going the other way around from turn 4. So you've got a long downhill to turn 1. But from turn 1, you literally climb to the top of the hill. In other words, that's where the top of the hill phrase came from. It's literally an uphill pedal from turn 2 all the way up through the main straight, up to the top, through that little kink, through turn 6, which is now turn 5, and then around the bend past Kazoo Racing and at the finish line at AMG. So it is it's elusive, because I think that people don't realize it. It's like when if you've ever done 947, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you've done the 947 cycle challenge, you get on the highway and you go, the highway is easy, man. And then you realize, hold on a second, I'm doing 120 k's an hour in a car. It's that easy because that's why it is. But when you're on a bicycle and you're having to trap it, not so lekker.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, thinking about the Nice Hill climb and some of the really popular race cars there. So I think from us, unfortunately, we're not seeing right now Gary from Grease Monkey Motor Garage. He suffered, unfortunately, a head gasket failure yesterday after what appears to be a water pump failure. And that car is notorious for its contesting
capabilities.
The hill climb.
Amazing.
That development over there, we're talking nitrous, and he's throwing the whole mechanical book at this and saying, how fast can I make a diesel go with 4 wheels?
Well, I've got to tell you, that was a 20-minute exercise to clear the circuit, so not a bad effort there. Well done once again to our incredible team. It's a combination, of course, now of Zwartkops and Kyle Army Marshals that are now based here full-time at Zwartkops. So despite them being the choice of the Orange Army that head across to the circuit just down the road, they are now literally the Zwartkops Marshals that travel the country and also head up to Red Star to assist with most of the events that happen there as well. So fantastic effort there. Looks like we have got almost green lights, but remember, they're going to give it a little opportunity to maybe get a little bit of heat back into that Dunlop rubber, and then once that safety car rolls out the way, we go racing again.
So at least we can see Neck's got the bonnet closed on that E46. Let's hold thumbs for him and make sure that car is hopefully all good to go and he can continue to race and put some pressure on. We can see Selvey in that E36 there. Look at that front bumper missing.
Front bumper.
And that was from that lap 1.
Lap 1, yeah.
He went into the infamous kitty litter, and that would have ripped all of it apart. So he's going to have some extra cooling on that intercooler, but front downforce not so great.
Hilligen in Frankenfurter, hey? I mean Frankenstein. At the back of the pack, but fortunately still back on circuit, and looks like we're now going to get I think they'll probably give them 2 laps just to have a look at what turn 1 looks like going through, because they would have gone from a standing start with cold tyres through turn 1, and it's not going to give you a great indication as to how much grip is actually available. Now they'll get to see exactly how much grip is available, because they're now on the race line and not at full race pace, but at least they can see a line that they can maybe drive through and go cold trickle on us into turn 1.
I've got a feeling we're going to be under safety car for a couple laps to try to clean up all of that dirt. I mean, that looks like the kiddies' play pits over there. I think they're going to start inviting the kids with their shovels to start making sand castles.
So we've got a couple here that could help out instantaneously. I tell you what, if we just put a shout out there with Leon Odendahl upstairs, there'll be kids down at turn 1 in 5 seconds flat, but to clean that surface. Vanamava in the mix there as well, looking for a chance to carry on the battle he had with Oz. And of course, our reigning champion, didn't really get to see much of him in that start because we were concentrating on all the incidents that happened. But he's certainly a man to watch out for. And in the pre-race chat, which you missed just before you popped in, he was seeming to be pretty much feeling like he's up for the challenge and could potentially give a bit of a run to everybody at the front end of this field. And I think, the number 1 car, it's got that number 1 on for a reason, because he was very quick and very consistent last year. But it's not easy to keep that number 1 plate amongst a field like this.
No, they said in all sports, they were talking about tennis the other day, and they're saying, the easy part is getting to number 1. The hard part is staying there.
Yeah.
So, once you've got that sticker on your car, you've got an automatic target. You are everybody's number 1 competition. Everybody wants to beat the man. And so the pressure just, raises from level to level. So let's see what Mr. Smith can do with that pressure to bear. But we'll see if this track gets cleaned up first so we can actually have some safe racing.
Yeah, we're also going to have to keep an eye out on the lap monitor, because our timing has gone completely here in the studio. So as they come around there, we might have to get a couple of shots of the board there to tell us how many to go. 10 says according to that.
So
start delay. Okay.
So full restart.
Start delay board came out there as they crossed the line. So I don't know if that was actually a full start. They were about to go for one, but maybe they're going to go into formation now as they come down. That's Macros slowing down into turn 2, Cashel corner as well. Everybody seems to be just getting into their race position. So maybe it's a full race restart. As you said, the 10 lapper is what was going to be scheduled on the program. And if that's the case, that means they're going to be into formation behind the safety car as they come down towards turn 8 on the next lap. And then we'll be good to go.
So I'm not expecting a lot of corner 1 moves. No diving down there. I'm not sure who's going to have the bold bravery or lack thereof to try that, but maybe into corner 2. But I think corner 1 is now effectively completely off the cards, because otherwise, unless you want to play slip and slide, that's going to be terrible for grip.
And I don't think anybody went for the all-wheel drive option. All rear-wheel drive.
Well, that's where we need Gary. So unfortunately, Gary missing out here.
Yes.
He really could have, put that extra grip to use. But the rest of these things, conventional BMW rear-wheel drive.
Bob Neal at the front in the Delmon machine. He's helped out, of course, by Lee Thompson Racing alongside him, looking for a chance to possibly squeeze through there. Would have been Nick Macros, but of course it's now going to be the 6.6 car of Leon Lopesha. That incredible little Toyota Corolla GR pulls off the circuit, our official safety car, handing the duties to that man. And looks like he's got a little bit of a jump on the rest of the pack as we go racing. Lights out, yeah, good to go. 10 laps of BMW M Performance Racing Series headed your way. Turn 1, everybody through pretty clean and clear. I wouldn't say clean right now, but certainly not even clear, because things are looking really, really dodgy through turn 1 at the moment. But everybody seems to have got through. And now this is where things will probably start to heat up. Gearing under a bit of pressure there. Salvi sneaks on the inside, finds a way past. And Gearing trying to come back at him now.
I think everybody's sitting on the edge of their seat as everyone went through that corner 1 at full race pace right now.
Brain, you're a man. You've got the timing.
We got
working.
some lap times over here, some timing.
I like when Brendan Kelly comes along, because he gets to sort out all the stuff that we would normally be trying to do in between commentary. It's quite lucky to have a third person in the studio with us there, Brendog. Thanks, buddy. Motormouth all the way from PE here, joining us as part of our commentary today. He has a big move on right from the word go. Kind of what we expected. Macros trying to come back at the German.
So is it going to be deja vu from the restart? So we know that we had Leon, making the move on Bob. Now we've got Andreas making the move on Fabio, trying to on that M4 off and going a little bit tail happy with Nick Macros and his E46.
He's on the inside dirty line as well through turn 1. Oof, I think he might have just made that stick. I was also watching Reinhard Miller twice. Literally, absolutely
up
drifting through the corners.
No, really exciting to see over there. It's nice to see a clean restart, so hopefully we get some a clean remainder of the race right now. We've got Rob Gearing chasing down Oz Bagioni in their E46, so they've got Hein leading that little pack, and Leon still behind Bob Neal over there, and Fabio leading out those Class B hungry competitors over there. We can see that Andreas putting huge pressure. He's probably going to want to get past as quickly as he can.
Miller pulling away at the front end of Class C by looks, and he leads out there, as you said, over that little battle just behind him. Four-way battle raging up towards the top of the hill and into turn 5. But Miller's got a slight advantage over them at this point. He seems to have got just a little bit of a better start there. Rob Gearing there in the 4th spot, certainly not out of it just yet. And oh man, the back end of that car is not happy.
Looks like a lot of sliding happening through. What is that, corner 6, Greg?
Yeah. Out of 6, and watch him out of 8 as well. Let's see if he gets it sideways again. Not as bad as last time, but he certainly doesn't matter if it's left or right hand corner. Both of them are becoming a bit of a handful for that car. So maybe just a bit of tinkering with that machine to give it a bit more straight line. Oh, and there's been a touch. I think the German and the Greek have come together.
So we see, what's that, Nick Macros' rear left bumper, and we saw Andreas slowing down over there. So definitely a corner 2 incident. Andreas' car no longer featuring.
Now watch for the German to come onto that back straightaway pretty slowly, because I think he's even been overtaken by the leading Class C competitors. Yes, he has. There they come as they come onto that back straightaway. They're pulling away now from that 3rd place battle, because the first 2 have now opened up a bit of margin. Gearing's into 3rd. 4th place is Bagioni. Bagioni with a bit of pressure as well on him, looking for an opportunity to squeeze through there on Oz. I think is Nicky Dix. Yeah, I thought so. 2nd of the curve end cars. And Dix not quite able to find a way through there yet on Bagioni. But what it is allowing is it's allowing that box shape to get away ever so slightly, because they're fighting so hard. Oh, mistake from Bagioni.
sliding
little bit wide.
just like the rest over there, that corner 6. It looks like people are lighting up the tires in that corner. Really doesn't look too fun to be part of the driving experience there.
Bob Neal inside, coming out of Castrol now.
How close is Leon there?
Yeah, but Leon was hunting him through turn 1 as well, looking for a chance early on. Didn't quite get there, but I think he's certainly up for the challenge now. This is going to be great. Watch out for the second pack of Class C's heading down towards Castrol Corner right now.
So with that damage over there, I mean, it's to the rear of the car, but I expect that's going to come flying off at some point. I wonder if Renier and Fabio are going to be ready for that, wherever that lands, that piece of rear bumper. It's going to come off that car.
Take evasive action is not always easy to do when you're concentrating on the race and something comes flying at you. It can catch you by surprise very quickly, so we've got to keep an eye on that one. On to Naidu, under pressure now from Salvi. Salvi's moved up slightly, putting the pressure on to Naidu as they go to the top of the hill. He'll be looking for an inside line, as is Nicky Dix on Oz. Oz shuts the door.
Oz having to pull out all the defensive maneuvers at the moment.
International car is right on his tail, looking for a way through. There we go. Salvi also out of shape. Sideways from him. And then it's the 27 car, Hilligen, bringing Frankenstein along for the ride there. About to join the back of that pack. And it's a 5-way fight here. Bagioni's kind of sandwiched that field up nicely into kind of a bit of a concertina effect.
It's a proper tight train over there. We saw Salvi looking at the inside there, but into corner 1, just really no chance to that. He'll try go around the outside now, but will he have the grip to keep with him and then get the exit right?
So he stayed on the outside, not exactly what you thought he was going to do. I thought he might cut back inside and try and get that inside line through towards turn 3. This is also nice to see, as we see a bit of maneuvering there.
Yeah, right at Miller with some pressure from Hein van der Merwe over there, and then looking to take that opportunity if they decide to tangle. Rob Gearing.
Gearing, I think, is going to just be waiting to see what happens potentially between those two cars, if there is going to be any issues between them, and if that, he'll pick up the pieces with no worries whatsoever. Back up towards turn 5 again.
I think Hein is putting up a move right on the inside right now of Reinhard Miller. Will we see a new leader for that class?
Here we go.
Reinhard's going to try take it back, going up the inside. What's going to happen?
No, around the outside, perfectly done.
Well done,
found that outside line with lots of grip and got through. But I think Miller might have a problem, because here comes Rob Gearing as well. Gearing was going to have a look on the inside, but I think he was worried about turn 1. Don't want to try anything too hectic through turn 1. Potentially not the best place to overtake a race car right now, so might have to hang in for turn 2.
There you go. Makes the move.
That's experience coming there out of Rob, I think.
Absolutely.
He knows exactly what was wrong with that first corner. Doesn't want to try anything and risk it.
Not all done yet. He's going to have to defend up the hill over here. That blue E36 of Reinhard Miller is a strong car, and if Rob is not careful, he'll put a move down the inside and he might lose that position.
A different camera angle coming in there from our director, going towards turn 4, watching this battle unfold. So we've got a change up for the lead, as you said. Now up in the second place is Rob Gearing, but Reinhard Miller, the initial leader for Class C, down to 3rd and now losing ground.
It's a nice fight panning out here in the new Class C.
Yes.
We've got Bob still defending from Leon, so he's kept it together a little longer than we had in the original first start, where Leon had made a move to get past. I think it was on lap 2.
Lap 2, yep. Got through there on the second lap and started to open up, and then of course unfortunately all came to blows after that incident in turn 1 with the full restart, going to a full shifted grid as well, back to the original grid positions. So Bob Neal now capitalising on that fact and trying to keep Leon at bay. Not an easy thing to do. Leon Loebscher, arguably one of the most hungry race drivers in the BMW M Performance Racing. He has a little bit of fuel coming out of that car.
Yep.
That won't be a problem in terms of liquid onto the circuit, but it might be a bit of a concern if he's only running within
I've got a feeling
allotted literage that you guys run.
I've got a feeling it might be water.
Okay.
They'll be running coolers, sprayers and coolers on the cars at the moment. Try to keep a bit of spray onto the radiator, spray onto the oil coolers, and a lot of them carry those water coolers in the rear of the car. So hopefully he's not running out of fuel, because otherwise this 10-lap race is going to be a little bit of a challenge to finish. So it looks like we've got Renier leading through Class B.
Yeah.
We've got Neckmacher, who's unfortunately not able to hold that lead over there after the tangle with Andreas the German, and that'll leave the honours through to him and to tangle with Fabio now right behind him.
Hanging on to the lead for Class C here, still looking good as he heads across the line and completes another lap. I think we're just at the halfway stage, or just over the halfway stage now. Just over the halfway stage with 3 to go. So the action's been so quick with the 10 laps has gone pretty rapidly here. But a little bit of smoke coming out of the back of Fanamavis' car, which might be something we need to watch out for. Under braking there, might be having some kind of an issue, but doesn't seem to be bothering too much. Bob Neal still in the front of Class A, as you just mentioned. And Leon Loubser looking dangerous at this point in time. And I think right now he's realizing he's probably running out of laps, so he needs to try and make some kind of maneuver to get through on his fellow stablemate there in the big BMs at the front. I know they come from separate tuners, but they're similar cars.
The pressure that Bob must be feeling over there. I mean, it's one thing to watch ahead of you and race your race and hit the apexes, but when you've got to keep on checking your side view mirrors for Leon Loubser, an ex-champion, right behind your rear bumper, that's a lot of pressure to bear right now.
Every time you used to see that car in the background, you'd see the number 1 plate on it, so it made it a bit more easy to spot. Now he's maybe not used to the fact that it's a 66 there. Some maneuvering coming from Salvi as well, finding a way through there on Dix. So Nicky Dix dropping down one more position and Salvi moving himself up one more.
So Nicky Dix has got ahead of Oz.
Got ahead of Oz
and
as well.
Salvi's got ahead of both of them.
There we go. So Nicky Dix is actually the man who's lost out there dramatically here in the closing stages, but Salvi salvaging something here big time. Up into second place now.
No front bumper, no problem.
Who cares about front bumpers? We do need them to make them a little bit more aerodynamic, but right now it doesn't seem to be any issue whatsoever in terms of his ability to go a straight line fast.
Right, looks like he's managing it just fine.
Delmon Mining down into turn 8, about to start the penultimate lap. 1 to go here for Bob Neal. We go aerial material for the first time as well in our drone shot here over Zwartkops. Look at that crowd. That is just fantastic to see. Massive, massive crowd along that back wall. The grandstand down at turn 3, Claudia and I were down there a couple of minutes ago, and that'll be coming out pretty shortly as well. We did a couple of interviews with a few of the people down there at turn 3, and they were saying it's such a nice vantage point. And actually, I've never been down there myself to watch a race, and I sat at the top right-hand side of that grandstand. Magnificent viewpoint, and lots of action that you can pick up from there, actually.
Fantastic viewpoint, but I wish I was that drone. Look at that footage from right there above. You know, what a way to watch the race. So awesome footage coming to screen right now. And this is the first that we brought the drone through to show BMW M Performance parts.
Yeah, we've done some before, but maybe not such a high vantage point from that drone. We normally run them a little bit lower, and of course along the main straightaway to try and pick up on the action there. But that high action shot that we saw now just shows you how many people are here. And there you go, once again, down towards turn 8 for the last time. Bob Neal in the Delmon Mining and Lee Thompson Racing BMW about to come through for race 1 and win number 1 for 2025 in Class A for BMW M Performance Racing Series, followed very closely by Leon Loubser. And I think it's going to be Fobbs coming through for third. I don't think he changed up there, or he dropped back slightly. I think he might be 4th overall. So I think Renier snuck through in the end there. Yeah, Renier sneaking through there for the 3rd spot. There comes Fabio for 3rd place in the A's, so great run there from him. But Renier Smith is going to take Class B comfortably in the end.
And Hein with still some pressure from Rob Gearing there at the end.
It's great to see that Rob Gearing doesn't give up, and he's still going as they go towards the line. I think he was like, right, if you're going to slow down here for a bit of a swan song, I'm going to give you a run to the line. Salvi for 3rd.
Battle till the very end. So that means we've lost Reinhard Miller. I wonder if he had pulled off. Yeah, I mean, it looks like the car pulled off after lap 6, so definitely a problem with that vehicle. So a couple of casualties. We got Andreas, and this is after restart. Never mind the incidents prior to restart. But corner 2 incident between Andreas and Neck. We've got Reinhard's car off. It looked like we had potentially lost another. So yeah, eventful race.